Are we going to see a king of the dot without having the privilege of being able to utilize some of America's most popular battle rappers? There's not too many native black battle rappers in King of the Dot. Native, coming from Canada. This is the Canadian League that does battle rap, i.e. White League, and we could have and here is the American League, i.e. Black League. Is it going to be more entertainment for the consumer? Yes. But Battle Scene, and we are back in the building. Some things we need to talk about. One day, we will see the rivalry that has already existed, and it has been for a long time. King of the Dot versus URL. Put your money where your mouth is versus follow the innovators, not the imitators. You can't copy what? Respect. The world's most respected battle league. Let's just start there. I mean, how do we feel about that? You've had a plethora of different channels to watch battle rap in. The battle scene, we always say, URL is the NFL of battle rap. And we would compare it and say, well, the NFL, you got the CFL, and they play good football over there. Slight rule changes, but in terms of respect, people respect worldwide the NFL more than the CFL. The Canadian Football League could be compared to King of the Dot, the Canadian Rap Battle League. And now that we know about the Twitch partnership, obviously we know about the Caffeine partnership. Are you guys excited to see both leagues have hundreds of $1 million behind them, and then all of a sudden they start dropping battles around the same time? What's your thoughts on this? It's going to be interesting. In the times that we live in, I'm wondering, is King of the Dot, are they going to have full reign to present what they would prefer to do? Let's be honest. There's not too many native black battle rappers in King of the Dot. Native, coming from Canada. Now, we've seen some American battle rappers, Head Ice, Chilla Jones, Daylight, Charlie Clips, Danny Myers, Rum Nitty. We've seen some of America's best over in King of the Dot. Let me pivot real quick. It's all too interesting now because during the pandemic, and this is not to say the King of the Dot slowed their business down, but I'm going to assume that URL has tried to lock down talent. You got a fan base over here. We just got this big investor. We don't want you venturing off. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens with King of the Dot. Are we going to see thesaurus, disaster? Are we going to see a King of the Dot without having the privilege of being able to utilize some of America's most popular battle rappers? If so, then we might have a corporate funded, predominantly Black league, predominantly white league, even more so than before the pandemic. But you guys to peep that. We know how Beasley works. We know how Smack works. We know how Chico works. We know they like to get talent, lock them down, especially when they have invested into that artist and that artist has grown a fan base on their platform. I want to propose that perhaps when King of the Dot comes back, we could be looking at almost, this is the Canadian league that does battle rap, i.e. white league, and we could have and here is the American league, i.e. Black league, and it probably will make it better for battle rap. It probably will. What's a Home Depot without Lowe's? If you're a smart shopper, don't you like to check the price at Lowe's? See who has the same product at a better price? Well, then let's talk about that. Right now, caffeine is free. Right now, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of fans that have been waiting on King of the Dot to crank back up. Right now, you have thousands and thousands of fans that are watching URL, but would rather be watching King of the Dot. Some of those fans being from Canada, some of those fans being from King of the Dot. Does King of the Dot and URL appeal to a different kind of audience inside the niche culture of battle rap? Don't you know that this is going to be highly competitive when King of the Dot comes back with their first event? Now, a couple of things that I'm thinking about. People like Disaster, people like Pat Stay, King of the Dot, they have long tentacles in the culture. Some of the people that haven't been getting some of the deals they wanted with URL, or some of the people that just said, hey, you know what? I'll just ride the pandemic out. Organic might put that money where their mouth is. Giving you something to think about. First question, do you think this is going to be American, Canadian, Black, white leagues? Now, King of the Dot has never had a problem with hiring an African-American battle rapper, especially if they're in Boston, if they're in LA, is the blackout. But a lot of times when you see King of the Dot, it's the GZs, and it's more of a European kind of thing, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just wondering, how is that going to play out now that investors, major investors, are behind both companies? So how do you feel about that? Will URL reign supreme? You never know what Organic is over there doing. Now, he's got his hands, and Organic came for money, but now he's got his hands on a lot of dollars because of investors, even more dollars. Same goes for Smack and Beasley. Let's not try to act like they don't have money. I think URL has done a great job. I think ultimately, I mean, you know, you start looking at the road to SM10, some of these trailers, shouts out to the app. If you don't have it, it is what it is. Man, it is making battle rap, it's taking battle rap to the next level. Just the presentation, the trailers on the battles. And also, at some point, keep in mind, Caffeine has a studio. Once the pandemic eases off, once we cut the edge off this pandemic, it's nothing to have a bunch of people in the studio, i.e. crowd, small crowd, big crowd. It can be done. It's just that right now we're in a time to where it's not conducive for health reasons. It's more maintenance. You gotta check everyone's temperature and wear a mask, and you know, who's going to be more competitive? Who's going to be the world's most respected battle league when King of the Dot comes back out with hundreds of millions of dollars behind them? Shouts out to Organic, shouts out to Smack, shouts out to Gully, shouts out to Beasley, Chico, Bishop, and get it. What are we up against? Is it going to be more entertainment for the consumer? Yes, but who will gain the edge when you have hundreds of millions of dollars behind both leagues? Something to think about. Battle rap is changing, transforming, just like music does. Hip hop in early 2000, one thing. Hip hop now, a different thing. Battle rap is going through that. Let's see how this plays out. Give me some comments, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. America versus Canada. Lockdown talent. You got a fan base over here. We just got this big investor. We don't want you venturing off. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens with King of the Dot. Are we going to see?
The reason sometimes people never find their calling is because they have emotional equity in the way they've always done it. And all of a sudden, when it's time to let go of what they've been doing, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. But I'm going to invite you for the remainder of the day to leave the watch on the opposite wrist to serve as a reminder that
the flow is like mystical information for your eardrum. A Motor City rap hip-hop as they want some. Fire the pen writing, something intriguing. And I don't mumble rap, I give them something they believe in.